After 100 years of crisis and no clear ruler, Roman Emperor Diocletian came to power in 284. In order to govern the vast Roman Empire, he decided to split it into the East and West. What movies and shows do we have that take place during this time? First up, we're watching Sebastiane. This is a British film about Saint Sebastian, a Christian martyr. After upsetting the old Emperor Diocletian, he is sent to a remote garrison. There, his commanding officer falls in love with him. Although Sebastian is also interested in men, his love is only for God, and tragedy abounds. It was filmed entirely in Latin. Ratings. I appreciated that there was a lot of attention to detail on how people lived during this time, and the actors were committed to pulling off these deep and heavy scenes. Warning, this is borderline pornographic. Man parts everywhere. I'm pretty sure we watched the main guy pour water over himself, zoom in on water glistening on his chest while his obsessors spouted poetry for like 5 minutes straight. Personally, it's a little too overly sexual and sad for me, but I don't regret watching it. Released in 1976, it's 85 minutes, rated 18+. Next up is Decline of an Empire, also called Katherine of Alexandria. This is a British film that tells the story of Saint Katherine, a Christian martyr. As a young girl, she is taken in and educated by Western Emperor Maxentius. She is so intelligent, speaking multiple languages, and impressing everyone around her that she is considered a prophet. Young Constantine the Great is also there in the background as a completely fictional add-in. Ratings. Honestly, I thought this was super confusing. It took way too long in the beginning to understand who was who and what each person's objectives were. Some of the performances and individual dialogue were really good, but I feel that they should have just focused on Katherine's story. Instead, it was drowned in additional extra storylines that were unnecessary. I would not watch this again. Released in 2014, it's 106 minutes, rated 18+ for gore and violence. Next up, The Revolt of the Slaves. This is an Italian film with Eastern Emperor Maximinus. A Christian slave is sold to a new high-ranking Roman household and makes a stand for his pride and integrity. The emperor hates Christians and is determined to do away with them once and for all. This film is very focused on martyrdom. It's based on the 1854 novel Fabiola by Nicholas Wiseman. Ratings. I was not a huge fan of the plot. The leading lady was a good actress, but I could not bring myself to care too much about her. In true classic Roman film form, she takes one look at a man's naked chest and he's a little bit mean to her and she falls instantly in love. So, meh, not for me. That said, the visuals for this film were almost on par with films like Ben-Hur and Quo Vadis, and it didn't suffer from nonsensical plot syndrome. Released in 1960, it's 100 minutes, not rated, but I would say about 13+ for violence. Now it's time for our first real introduction to Constantine the Great with Constantine and the Cross. This is an Italian film that takes place in Constantine's early years between 293 and 312. A young and ambitious Constantine makes his way to Rome. Along the way, he encounters Christians who show him kindness. From there, we have a very politics-heavy plot that involves multiple emperors and Constantine's journey to becoming emperor and growing empathy towards Christianity. Ratings. I have watched a lot of classic films, and I feel pretty safe in saying the caliber of this movie is well above your typical sword and sandal film. It has the kind of character depth seen in movies like the classic Spartacus. The cinematography is good but not great. If you're looking for a war movie, the war is there, but it's more focused on the politics. Great plot, great acting, would recommend. Released in 1961, it's 119 minutes, rated 13+. Now we're looking at The Fall of Rome. This is an Italian film that takes place directly after the death of Constantine. The persecutions of Christians have started again. We follow a Christian centurion, Mark, who fights his way out of Rome, makes friends with barbarians, then fights like a gladiator in the arena trying to protect his people. Ratings. This is ridiculous and not in a good way. I am fairly tolerant of bad movies, but this is one of the most boring I have ever seen. There was not a single character I cared about. The acting was lackluster, the plot was not in any way interesting or close to real history, and wasn't even funny in the bad B-movie kind of way. I probably won't remember it by tomorrow. Released in 1963, it's 89 minutes, not rated, but I would say about 13 plus. Last on this list is Agora. This is a Spanish film about Hypatia of Alexandria, known as a martyr for philosophy. She lived in Alexandria, Egypt, part of the Eastern Roman Empire. This was during the time of Emperor Theodosius, who was the last emperor who ruled over both the East and Western Empire before it permanently split. This is a tragic story during a time of religious mayhem, first between the people who still worshipped the Roman gods and the Christians, then the Jews against the Christians. In the middle of this was Hypatia, who just wanted to study philosophy and teach her students. Ratings. Fantastic movie. Some of the performances were award-worthy, like Rachel Weisz as Hypatia and Oscar Isaac. Every scene about philosophy was compelling. The tensions and growing violence between the different religions was so very real and tragic. However, if I am being picky, the script at times was all over the place and clunky. Some scenes felt out of place, and I think they should have been tossed out to make room for the main story about Hypatia. Definitely would recommend. Released in 2009, it's 126 minutes, rated 18 plus for violence. That's it for now. The next video in this series will be about the end of the Western Roman Empire. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out my playlist to watch more historical media in chronological order or for some movie and TV comparisons. Happy watching!